we're just looking at this at the 1 minute. As we said, Friday, no news. We're stuck in a consolidation. I'd be surprised if we made a pretty significant move today, so I kind of expect range-bound trading. Looking at the candlesticks themselves, we can kind of tell, right, when we have this lack of volume, you can really see it within the candlesticks themselves. So 9:30, we just opened up here. We'll see what we get. I'd like to see if we can't revisit midpoint of our opening range gap here. Yeah, we'll look for that. So we've opened up completely one-sided so far. We'll see if we want to run for buy side immediately. We're at NQs, get the levels we want here in NQ as well. NQ is even uglier. We do have equal highs here in NQ. So yeah, let's see once we reach this buy side, let's see what we get here in both. If we can engage that liquidity. This high here. So look for that. We'll look for a run into buy side, and then from there we'll see if we can't get a reversal to target opening range gap if we don't come down right away for it. So we'll treat this opening kind of as a Judas swing if we can attack the liquidity. Just want to see that liquidity there as well. Okay. Cool. Bullish fair value gap created so far already. We want to watch that. If we're going to run straight for buy side off rip, we'll try to hold that. We do have this opening range gap and a volume imbalance that was created as we did that. So if we do fall outside of this, we could still hold at the volume imbalance. As long as the bodies are going to respect that level, I would expect opening range gap high to try to hold until we deliver it into the buy side. This is midnight level here in NQ. So this fair value gap was created right on midnight as well. We would expect both of them to try to hold. In this instance, as we mentioned, we could use the opening range gap high as well. So if we got through this fair value gap, we could still find respect at this volume imbalance. We close below that, then we'd look for midpoint. Ideally, I like to try to see this hold for one more bullish run. We have equal highs here. So if we can run up first, clear some buy side, then leave a short-term low that could be targeted. There's opening range gap. As I said, closure below that, we'll actually look for the deeper retracement now into midpoint. So if we get below volume imbalance, close below volume imbalance, we should see the high of that try to offer resistance now. Multi-volume imbalance. Yep, very true. Just open with the 2 and the 5, or the 5:15 still to close. We gotta wait for the closure of this. We'll see how that closes. We also have the midnight level here as well. So we've delivered into midpoint of NQ's opening range, cleared a short-term low. If we stay bullish there, we could probably use the high now. Same in ES, right? So we made that huge kind of run lower back into 830, but we didn't close below that level. So to me, we're still expecting that this could hold price. We retest this, close below, then that would create more bearish movement. But for the time being, we're going to look for this wick to try to hold now. As we retest the midnight level, we should see that try to support price if we're going to try to create a bullish leg to attack these relative equal highs we've created here. We should get back above the bullish fair value gap, so reclaim that, because you'll notice that this candle closed below it. So this is where we'll look for kind of that one candle chance to negate the previous candle's actions here. If this candle can close back above, that'll be a good sign, especially after respecting midnight and holding the actual volume imbalance. NQ leading the way. Pushing aggressive. It actually held the fair value gap, so same thing, right? The wick did the damage into the opening range kind of as we expected here and here in ES. NQ a little bit stronger now. We'll see if ES can't catch up. We closed right back above its midnight level. So this is an instance where in NQ, I'd want it to remain bullish. So a retest of the original fair value gap should try to hold until buy side was delivered into. No first presented, however. So no fair value gaps yet. Choppy opening. As we said, there's no news today. It's the end of the week. We're not expecting crazy runs or anything like that. I like opening range gap high into these equal highs, however, and then buy side potentially. Same idea here. So if we're going to create this wick, close back above the original bullish fair value gap, a retest into that should be met with support. Right, we should see that fair value gap try to hold price. Ooh. And then this will be our protected low. First, we're looking for the equal highs, and then we'll look for the actual external range liquidity here. And Q almost gets that high. So same idea. Right, we want buy side in both here. If that stays open, that's even better, because now we're creating a new discount overlapping with the original fair value gap. High of this 1 minute is consequent encroachment of the newest 1 minute as well. So same idea. I like us. If we're going to return into that, I'd want to see that try to hold price. All right, this is the protected low. Really shouldn't come below midnight or this level here until we reach our buy side target. So there's a retest of that fair value gap. That's retesting first presented in NQ as well. We'd want to see NQ hold. We'd want to see midpoint of the original fair value gap here hold. So pretty much creating this as a swing low, right? We'd want to see this become a swing low. Try to close back above these fair value gaps and attack now this set of equal highs. So we've created two pairs of equal highs here and here, just below the actual buy side. Expectation is we run all those out. Notice how the body closed at the low of the most recent 1 minute, but the wick went into the actual original fair value gap here. So the bodies are respecting current market structure while referencing the old fair value gap. That's why here, when we open with this bearish volume imbalance, we'd really want to see this be the swing low. So we'd want this to close in bullish, closing back above this 1 minute here. fully rebalancing that fair value gap. If we saw something like that, we would expect this swing low to stay intact. Next candle, run for the equal highs here and here. Kind of be like what NQ is doing. So we did get closure above, so this is where we would look. If we get a quick retracement, we'd want to see these fair value gaps hold. And we'd really want this low to be intact still. So something tight like that. If we come back for this low, it's just going to be a little bit sloppier. And especially because NQ cleared that high, if we displace below these fair value gaps now, we might actually start falling. So NQ stays strong, stays bullish, delivers into that buy side we were looking for. If ES wants to get there from this point, I'd actually look for opening range to be what it's going to use. So in choppier market structure, right, we often say you have to kind of disregard the actual candlestick PD arrays. I'm going to rely on the time-based PD array of the opening range, and we have that volume balance there as well. Already respected it once, so as we retest that, we'd want to see that hold again. If we're still holding on to the idea that we can run out these highs, we want opening range gap to start holding price now. We'll probably revisit first presented in NQ. As we said, we've cleared that external range. So SMT at the highs, I'd actually want to see ES catch up though. So retracement into first presented here in NQ, if we could hold there, that'd be nice. Create another bullish leg, allow ES to run. It was that perfect delivery into opening range. Still looking for that closure now above these fair value gaps. If we're going to hold underneath that, that's more bearish. Nice. So there's NQ, pretty bullish. We should get up there in ES. Nice. Perfect. So a little sloppy on its delivery, but respecting the PD arrays really perfectly. Right as we got above this fair value gap, we held it. Paid outside the lines a little bit with the wick, where perfectly into opening range, kind of as we spoke about. Now we should clear this buy side with NQ pumping up like this. If we can leave this first presented, actually, I wouldn't mind. So running the buy side, looking for an inversion play to get back into midpoint of our opening range today. So there's the external range. At the same time, we're hitting our first presented. So these can both be reversal points. First thing we look for is how this candlestick closes. If it closes back inside the range, early sign that this is more run on liquidity. We'll look for an inversion play. We close above, we'll look to see if we create some type of discount aligned with that, that'll create an extended bullish push. So we close right on that, and we actually open with the volume bounce. So if we leave that discount, right, that's going to be a discount being created as we clear a high. And we'll have this fair value gap, especially. Okay, so already that gets closed in, so no fair value gap, perfectly aligned. We'll see if we leave the volume balance aligned, however. So we're retesting first presented for today. Fair value gap as we clear highs. We invert that after clearing the buy side as we spoke about. We look for midpoint here. We hold midpoint perfectly. Yeah, look at that. So honestly, if we wanted to confirm this as an even better inversion, we would hold this in the short term, close above, or even run this high one more time, and then get below it. The best inversions will be fair value gaps that support price originally. So now as we retest the original buy side, interested to see what we do here. We'll probably run these equal highs, and then we'll look for the same thing, how the candlestick actually closes once we engage that buy side level. Closure above, we'll look for the continued delivery. This will be nice because now we actually have a swing low here as well. So if we can run out a short-term high, then break below this low, that's going to be the YouTube model. Conversely, if we break above this high right now and close above it, leave a discount, we'll actually look for that continued bullishness. And we'll look for like, let's go to like an hourly. Maybe full closure of the hourly fair value gap here. Because we've already closed above midpoint, so the high of it, we could reach into that. Nice. So just respecting discounts at this point. Right as we displace and close above the swing point here, an old high turned into support. Pair that with our first presented. Volume imbalances here as well. Had we actually closed above this buy side, I would have went in right away on that first presented. Because it wasn't certain that we wanted to close above, I was actually looking for the retracement below it. And instead would have tried to use like a confirmation. So as we closed above that, we could have used it again, but instead we just ran. So just gave one tap, displacement. Now if we leave a fair value gap here, that's actually when we would expect this to actually hold price. Notice how the midpoint will be the old equal highs. So if that stays open, we would look for pretty much the old highs here. Midpoint of that fair value gap to offer support. Leave this low for the time being. Run into the high of the 1 hour. Let's see what was. There's really no inefficiencies in here. We do have the old low, so yeah, I like that. What about a 5 minute? Okay, so we do have a 5 minute. 15. 15 is the same, so we'll use the 5. Let's look for the bullishness to continue really at this point. So as we hit the 5 minute, we could see some quick hesitation in the short term. I like midpoint for the mid. Oh, we just displaced right into it. So we'll probably just run right into that at this point. Here's where the 1 hour and the 5 minute overlap. This is the 1 hour high. So we actually do get a pretty significant move this morning. All bullish so far. If we leave this open, that's going to be the high of the one. Oh. Bruh. So this is the 1 hour. If we close above that, we'll look for the 5. And we may even want to come back all the way up here to this first presented, to be honest. Or at least this original 4 hour. We're kind of bouncing between these two, so on a higher time frame. 4 hour into 4 hour, so it actually makes sense to return to this 4 hour. Let's look for that. Let's here. Move to 5 for now. I like this. We're going to leave this entry here because that's pretty much the upper quadrant of that 1 hour. So if we do give a retracement entry, right, let's take a midpoint. I mean, that's pretty much exactly that same level. So it's the old high, it's the original buy side, it's the bullish fair value gap, consequent encroachment, and it's the top quarter level of the higher time frame inefficiency. We'll look for the hourly to hold in the short term, give the retracement into that untapped inefficiency, and then look for one more bullish move to clear that high. Reach for the 4 hour. This retracement will align nicely with this first presented in NQ as well. So we like that. We'll leave them both in. We will watch the last discount, so this is the most recent discount. If we want to stay real bullish, we just hold that. We don't even come into this one. We just hold here. But I'd want to see this actually fall a little bit more. So let's start planning immediately for the loss, right? Just in case. So let's say that we displace below this. We get proven wrong and we close below this low. At that point, I don't mind flipping the bias and trying to get short from there. Because in reality, this high to this low, that's already a balanced range. So as we displace above it, we really should only have to return into that inefficiency. Which, oh wow, we might just hold this. So when Q gets into that first presented we're speaking of here, we expected that to hold. At the same time, ES actually fell short and holds this. So seeing that, I expect we'll actually just run this high right now. Leave this open. We're going to leave the entry in because this is an instance where after we run the short-term high, we could actually see the retracement into this, and that could still hold. Alright, so there's that high. Yeah, we held that perfectly. Wow. So just nice to see. Algorithmic delivery. There's the run of the short-term high. If we don't close above that 1 hour, though, we should look for the retracement. So we clear the short-term high. If we hold this range, we'll look for now this low to be cleared. And I still like this entry because now we'll have a short-term low. So if we can pick up a short-term low while we're turning into midpoint. If we continue to hold this, close above the 1 hour, I'd actually would expect this swing low to be the protected low until we reach this fair value gap here. So in the theory, this fair value gap is completely rebalanced. We've traded into the low of it. We've closed back above. It becomes balanced, which means if we want to use it as support in the immediate term, right, the high and the midpoint will be the most sensitive area. So I watch as this candlestick pretty much hits the high of this perfectly. If this stays open as a volume imbalance, we'd look for price to actually start closing above the 1 hour now. So ideally, I'd actually like to see this volume imbalance close in bearish, so we can get this retracement we're looking for here. Oh yeah, we're just gonna pump. Okay. It's all about the closure though. Closure above, as we said, we'll expect this low to be the new protected low in the short term until this target up here is met. This closure above, we would expect a retest to be met with support now. Five-minute sense, there is a 5-minute fair value gap. So like I said, we're going to leave this entry. Higher time frame, untapped inefficiency. We've just delivered into 5-minute midpoint. We could see that retracement now from here. We're watching now, however, at the high of the 1 hour pretty much. So if we want to stay bullish, this 1 hour high will offer support, and we'll just kind of keep slow grinding up, or just create a quick bullish candle that runs right into the 4 hour here. SMT at the highs. So ES runs this high, NQ does not. Attention is currently, how does this candlestick close? We have a volume imbalance in here. So as long as bodies are holding that, we would expect bullishness to continue. As we said, high of the 1 hour will also be an area of support now that we've closed above it. We didn't do it twice, so this candle negates this candle's actions by closing back inside the range, but because it's respecting the volume imbalance, we would still expect the bullishness to continue. Retesting midpoint, this time we'll look for closure above the swing point. Opening range gap and volume imbalance. Yep, that's money. Oh, on NQ too. Nice, good stuff. Yeah, NQ is clean. That was clean, that was clean. This was clean as well. So far, it's just respecting the discounts, so we're following this pretty easily. We'll hold the fair value gap. We said we close above, we'll respect that. We could close above midpoint now. The 5-minute expectation would be that midpoint now paired with this down close candle will hold price until we get into the high up here, like we've been speaking of. NQ runs that high, so now we've pretty much matched that out. We should see the continued run into NQ. Looks to be reaching for previous day's high. This level here is previous day's high. And is that a standard deviation level as well? It looks like it is. Let's see. That's actually ridiculous. So I would fully believe we're going to hit that high there. Right, the half standard deviation of today's range is perfectly yesterday's high. As we often say, things like that aren't random. That's our draw. Which means here in ES, got a lot going on. Let's clear that. I like the 5-minute midpoint, trying to hold price now, as we said. This low should be protected. And I think we will try to get into this first presented up here. So follow midpoint now. That should be our new area of support. No ES, Mike? Oh yeah, that is ES. Nice. Can't lie, I also tried, but I missed it. I had an entry just like this. But we didn't get tapped in. Now I'm pissed. No, I'm just kidding. Good, hey, I'm glad at least someone took advantage of it. Because yeah, that was clean right there. So from here, as we're saying, we should really see this candle hold price. If we're going to fully respect price, right, to the most precise degree, it'll be like this. The student becomes the master. That's an NQ though, or are you talking about ES? Because this is NQs. Really? Yeah, I'm gonna have to trust mine, to be honest. It's the most accurate one I found. 25 years of data, and it actually just was upgraded. Because I mean, that's like, come on now. That's not random. And I mean, look at that right there with the open. I didn't really realize that at the low. I mean, come on now. How do we argue against an algorithm? Perfect. Absolute perfect. Perfect there. No, yeah, exactly. No coincidences. The algo-based algorithm. We're fully believers in the algorithm. Yo, Dave, what's up with that little tag you got on your name? How you get that? What is that? RTO. Oh, I didn't even see your message, Retail. My fault, my fault. Yeah, it's an indicator. So, right, what I'm doing for that, let's just go one screen, easier to see. And we'll use NQ since we're kind of using that. Indicator called historical distance deviations. What if I could pull it up fully so you can read it? About the script. Here we go. All right, so what it does, it pretty much calculates all previous years' daily ADR, right? The average daily range of each candlestick. And then it uses that information to create standard deviation levels. Just upgraded this past few months. But like, especially when we're at all-time highs, this is my favorite indicator just because it gives it targets. But even like now, right? It just creates confirmation because it, like when we see something like this, like that buy side, daily swing point, half standard deviation perfectly, that adds confirmation and conviction that that is the draw. So we'll expect price to continue to reach for that. And in general, you'll see those are just good dynamic support and resistance levels. It's like if we're pumping up a lot and we run into that and create a bearish setup, those will hold. Conversely, like if we displace and close above that, those areas will tend to hold price as well. You have no idea. What? This man, I don't even know. It just showed up one day. Hey, fair enough, man. That's funny though. So it's only my third day out here. I don't even know. All right, so there is the 4 hour. Unfortunately, we missed that. As we said, if we're going to stay bullish, we hold the actual down close candles high to open. That'll be the most sensitive area. We wick into the open. Bodies don't even get near it though. So now really, if we're going to just continue to follow this bullish, the 5 minute will now hold price. Because the 5 minute candlestick is closed above midpoint. So what we would expect is now, right, especially because we trade into this 5 minute for the first time, we already created a low here. So this has really been balanced. We would expect that the high now offers support, and we just see the continued pump up. So the high offers support, midpoint doesn't need to be messed with. We expect at least this first presented here. And then, what is this level? I mean, look at that, right? So this half standard deviation in ES is the high of this first presented. So once again, just adding confluence that could be the draw. That's a line, okay. Yeah, see, I blame you. This one's got to be right. I rebuke you. There it is. All right, let's see. So now, if we're going to be extremely bullish, this candle holds here now. But this candlestick should respect this candlestick, threshold. So we could wick into that, but this low should hold. If anything, we won't even come down into this. We won't breach this candle's low. We'll see. NQ's getting a little bit more choppy, but ES seems to actually be wanting to print bullish. So if that's the case, as we say, this candle here now supports price. No wick to the upside. Closure above a swing point. After respecting a discount, this becomes new area of support. If this candlestick Right, if the body of this closes above the opening of this candle, we'll look for the next candle to reach into the first presented fair value gap here. Nope. So just like that, this candle, bearish volume imbalance. Expectation would be we revisit this candlestick's high, and then we run into this here. So we'll look for the quick retracement first. There it is, perfectly into the candlestick's high. Now this candlestick should run bullish and print into this first presented here. All right, so we're still looking at this candle. As we said, midpoint, high will be the most sensitive area. So we expect these reactions. If we venture into midpoint, we'd want to see an immediate rejection from there. And then we would expect this first presented here. Yep, next candle will hit that. There it is. We'll see if that becomes a new swing low. So yeah, this is really pretty easy to follow here. I don't have anything to do because we already took max payouts in my money funded futures accounts. So they were closed out. So I'll start some new ones again next week. That's why for the time being, we're not really too worried about getting in. Just following. I mean, it has been beautiful so far. Really respecting every PD array as we've expected it to. As we said, this is a draw on NQ. We expect that easily. Same reason we expect the high of this. Half standard deviation in both. From there, we'll see if that creates now the retracement. Because we've been really all bullish here. Volume balance entry potentially there. Let's follow that. We haven't used one in a minute. Should we try NES and NQ? Yeah, just to play. We haven't done one in a while. Let's try it. Buy there. This is an old classic entry technique here. We have to go 1-to-1. Have to get back into the stream of things. Haven't been using these in a minute. I forgot we even used to do this. Oh no. Right, so with the volume balance entry like this I'm doing here, what you want to see is you enter on the volume balance. If it closes in bearish, we usually would just cut the position. Because you want to see the expansion. We fall short of this up here. Because we have this fair value gap, we will just leave it. I am recording, yes. Ooh, so neatly wrong. With the volume balance entry, as soon as it closes in, you close it. Oh, look at that reaction there. Jeez. We expect that to still hold. We close above midpoint of this fair value gap. That's actually hilarious if that was to hold. But we close above midpoint and we actually leave that inefficiency. So my expectation is we should see that try to hold price. Continue to pump. We fall just short of this. We pick up this short-term low. So the volume balance entry invalidated. We close as soon as it closes in. We actually hold that fair value gap still. So same idea. This is where closure above that fair value gap, that should now be used as support. Same here in ES. We still have this objective we want to see. If we close above this, we can actually look for a long off of that. I'd like that. And target the 4-hour midpoint. Bias right, timing wrong. just short, we'll look for that. Get there, be good. Ideally, we run straight into it. If we have to retrace, though, we should hold the high of this fair value gap. This becomes like the protected low in the very short term. Beautiful. So there it is in NQ. Now we wait and see, though. Are we going to stay bullish? So far, that's a bullish interaction there. Let me close this one. 15. Okay. We'll wait for the closure. If I'm being honest, I'd rather try to go short from this point. A lot of lows left behind. Really since the opening. The first swing low we create today is held. We hold a low, higher 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 low. Not one run on sell side today. So that makes it kind of easy and hard, right? Easy, bullish, as we say. Easy to follow it, bullish. Every discount will hold. Every swing low will be protected. Even this low. I mean, legitimately, let's look. Every single swing low today has been protected. Here, here, here. Swing low here, swing low here. Swing low here and here. Here and here. So now at this point, actually, we didn't get into that standard deviation point. That would have been perfect to see, but I don't want to necessarily demand that. So we're going to look at this discount. If we get below that, I like shorting this here. And we'll go stop above. We don't want to see... I want closure below this, though, twice. So we have to wait for that fair value gap to close. This high should be left alone. Which means that we can go like... a little bigger than I would like. All the way down. Alright, we'll actually try this here. It's the first legitimate entry. I like this. That's going to be the YouTube model. Short-term high clear, displacement below the inversion, leaving first presented as well. Falling short of the half standard deviation, but with how close we were, that's fine. NQ, same. Actually clears that high, clears the buy side, gives the same break. So we want to see, pretty much this will offer us short-term support, but we want to see that be support into entry followed by the break lower. So now that we have the setup, we'll see what we get. This is also an instance where I like extreme in the range because we'll get proven wrong quickly. So you guys know me, I don't like being in trades long at all. So I either like to be in, proven right, we move, or in, immediately proven wrong. And this is an instance where, right in my mind, if we tap entry and we're off sides, because we're holding still this original discount, it should try to displace right through the first presented. That'd be unfortunate if we missed that right there by a tick. Need to see the 5 minute try to hold. 5 minute has closed above. All right, so the 5 minutes inverted. This is bullish here. So really the higher time frames are bullish. We're trying to catch like a reversal here. Almost a counter trend trade. Because right now all the higher time frames are still bullish. They haven't really flipped bearish yet. Should have used the inversion. We'll see if that goes against us or not there. Quite literally one tick away from entry here. That'd be nice if we can hold this, run that short-term high as we revisit the first presented there. This may be all price was trying to do. We close below first presented, we trade up into it, move away, inverting the fair value gap, and this candle actually hits that inversion. So we wanted to use first presented, but we'll see if the inversion is all price could give. I got a feeling this is about to just drop heavy without us here. Closure below this candlestick, this turns into an inversion now. So any discount that holds, right? All PD arrays aren't, or you can use the inversion of those. Doesn't matter what it is. Breaker, order block, volume imbalance. So as we close below this, I almost expect this to hold price. I think we missed this entry here. So now as we trade up into this, this becomes my attention here. More than likely, we're going to immediately rebalance this candlestick, hit this candlestick's low. This candlestick will stay below this down close candle, and it'll run bearish to attack these lows here. Especially if, yeah, the immediate rebalance right there, okay. So we did immediately rebalanced. Usually that means that we're going to start breaking lower as we retest this here. If we can close above this level, we might be able to get the retracement into entry. But as long as we continue to wick this, we'll usually see a wick into that, followed by a sharp break. So that's kind of what I'm expecting here at this point. Closure above, as we say, we may be able to run into this. But if we hold that level, we'll look for that sharp break to clear the short-term low, pick up these relative equal lows, revisit the 5-minute midpoint here. Look at that close perfectly on it. So pretty much this becomes a swing high. We'll attack this swing low. That's what we'll look for. We close above the swing high, we'll look to get entered. As we said, we're holding this 5-minute fair value gap. So in this case, as we get entered here, if we're incorrect, it should pretty much slice right through that and attack our stop. So we're holding the 5-minute inversion here, paired with the actual 5-minute fair value gap itself. So like this, 5-minute inversion paired with 5-minute bullish fair value gap. Looking to retest first presented. Let's see if we hold the high of that 5 minute, open with the bearish volume imbalance here. So after hitting the high of the 5 minute, if we leave this bearish volume imbalance open, we're going to try to use it as resistance, especially if this candlestick closes below the 5 minute here. If we can stay in the range, we can actually look for like that continued choppiness potentially. But yeah, if we fall outside, we actually would look for that continued bearishness attacking this low here. Ideally, we actually try to hold above midpoint until we get into entry. Oh geez, I pay attention to the time. All right, we're actually running out of time as well, so let's get entered here quick. Got about 10-15 minutes here max. Times it. What is it? 8:20, 9:15. High, that 5 minutes still holding. We open with the bullish volume imbalance. If that completely closes in and we get closure below the 5 minute, we would expect next candle to reach this low. Oof, so we didn't get outside the fair value gap. We did get below midpoint though. We need to get back above midpoint, or else it's going to start holding us. How many patients you have today, hon?
What?
How many patients you have today?
I have 3 evals that I'm dealing with 2 patients that I'm not treating.
So 5 people? Full day then? Okay. I like those scrubs on you. You look mad cute in those scrubs. Yeah. It's good color on you. Pretty girl. Alright, we're getting gross. I don't mind this though, because usually like if we can, as long as we hold this low, even if we do clear this low quickly, we can see like a run of this low, a run of this high, and then a true break. 5 minute sense, as we said, we're just holding this 5 minute inefficiency here. So we'll see how this 5 minute candlestick closes. Admittedly, we would almost want to see, so the 5 minute to stay within this fair value gap. And then if we get entered, for it to just be a wick on a 5 minute chart. Because if we get the 5 minute to close above this fair value gap, more than likely we're actually going to run out these equal highs. To where, let's say like this 5 minute closes inside, next 5 minute opens, and then we could see a wick into the entry, followed by a sell-off. So I'd actually like to see this candlestick close inside this 5 minute here. So far, as we said, we're just consolidating within that. It's the 5 minute, it's this 5 minute, and it's the higher time frame 4 hours. That's really the key point. Right, notice that the 4 hour low is this 5 minutes consequent encroachment, and that's right where we're kind of getting stuck at. So we still hold on to the idea we want to see bearishness. Ideally, we try one more time. We're just going to go like this. We're actually going to use that inversion just in case. Right, we can give it a little space. We'll give it one tick for our entry. I mean, look at that. Clearing the short-term lows perfectly into the low of the 5 minute. Immediately rejects perfectly to hold above 5 minute consequent encroachment. So even in the ugly delivery, it still respects these levels pretty nicely. At this point, since this candlestick cleared these lows within the 5 minute, I'd like to see this be like a short-term swing low. So leave this for the time being and use the midpoint of the 5 minute as the new area of support. Kind of like we're doing here. Get closure above the 5 minute on a 1 minute sense, 1 minute chart. And then look for the inversion tap. Like I said, this should be a swing low in the short term here. Especially if this bullish volume imbalance stays open. It does, so yeah, at this point we'd look for bodies to hold that volume imbalance. Keep this low intact, run into entry zone, and then reverse to attack that low and close below the 5 minute. So this entry, we're actually expecting, as we said, first presented. Oh, okay. So we just hit it. So now we wait for the closure. As we said, this is where we'll be either wrong or right pretty quickly. It's coming off the 5 minute like this. Consolidation will lead to expansion. We close above this fair value gap, we expect to be stopped out. And we'll look for another bullish move. NQ runs the high again, so leading the way. If we can actually hold that, that'd be nice. Create SMT at these highs now. We close right above that swing point. So from here, we'd want to see price start breaking down, as we say, retest the 5 minute first. What we wouldn't want to see is to leave a fair value gap here, admittedly. It's like if this stays open, especially let's say it's like this, that's going to be worrisome. If we create a fair value gap like this perfectly. Because now as we leave the 5 minute, right, that's going to be the new area of support. We said we want to see this be a wick on a 5 minute candle. So we have 1 minute until this 5 minute candlestick closes. Ideally, it'll close below this first presented here. We're going to leave this fair value gap. I don't really like to see that, so we would need to invert that pretty much immediately. If we trade into this and find support there, these equal highs will be in sight. This is where we catch the swing high entry, so that's what we like. But we want that to remain the swing high. So as we said, this candlestick needs to invert this fair value gap. It's the same fair value gap in NQ. Especially because it's about to be 10:30. So if we get after 10:30 and we run this high, that's where we speak of like, this will be the morning range high. If we're going to close above that, that'll lead to continued bullishness in that direction. And we're just going to be extremely bullish so far. Huge bullish move. We're trying to catch a quick little reversal. We got one. I'd like to see another one. Yeah, that's not too good what we're doing here. We need to break pretty quickly. 5-minute and 10-minute have just closed. Hi, baby. All right, man. You have a good day. So what time do you think you'll be home? Like 5-ish? Sorry, I was muted. Closure above. We get closure above this level. We look for stop here at that point. From here, we would need to pretty much turtle soup this high and respect the first presented. That is a terrible sign. That would need to completely close in. This would be where we would have to see this candle negate this. If that volume imbalance stays open for our midpoint, we'd look for here. Could actually probably flip the bias and try to get long using that fair value gap. Because yeah, we are extremely bullish. Look at these candles. Sheesh. We were trying to create a fair value gap here, which we did, but we wanted to actually clear that hourly low. So just offsides. At this point, we need to say, if we can close in this volume imbalance, we'll have a chance here. But if we leave that open, we're for sure going to run into midpoint. Just stay extremely bullish. Five-minute will close here in the next 2 minutes. So if the 5-minute can close below, we should be all right. But right, it looks like it's already pumping. Yeah, so now we would expect this fair value gap to hold price bullish into at least the midpoint there. If we can invert the volume imbalance, maybe we get a chance. But currently in this leg, no down close candles. Notice that, so we don't really expect that. We expect it to continue to pump until it reaches this buy side. It seems to be reaching for this high here. We did just pick up this one. So if we can hold that high, that'd be nice. As we retest first presented though, we would expect support. Volume imbalance, yes, we would expect a quick tap of this followed by probably a rapid acceleration. If we could fall through the volume imbalance and ideally get below midpoint of this first presented, we can move our stop to this swing point. But we are extremely bullish. So yeah, that volume imbalance holds. We would look for this candle to run out this high and just keep printing higher. As you said, 1030 was here, so we close above the morning range high. That will lead to that delivery, usually in that continued direction. Perfectly respecting high of the first presented we have here as well. So just stand bullish. Extremely bullish today. We'll look for 4-hour midpoint. What do we got? Previous days. That's not even previous days high. Why is that there? I don't know why that's there. That's weird. Retesting that buy side once again. Volume imbalance. So yep, bullish. Look for the stop. Clear that. As you say, we're pretty, or at least when we enter and it's a swing high, if those get invalidated, that almost immediately will let us know we're offsides. We need to close this in if we want to have any thought of trying to get back down. As you said, we are hitting this liquidity. That's what we just hit. So if that could hold, we might have a chance. Equal highs though, so those equal highs, we would expect a quick pump through. This just looks like it wants to continue bullish. Retracement into first presented would be met with support in my opinion. That'll then attack these equal highs we've just created here. And attacking ultimately the swing high we have our stop at. As you said, at this point we would need to really invert below the volume imbalance. Below midpoint of this first presented. No, look at the bodies. Can't even get below bodies here. Bodies telling the story. Open with the bullish volume imbalance. We did here as well. This candle turned into a no wick to the upside. We'd want to see this be the same thing. No wick to the upside. Retest this first presented, but actually fall through it. So we just retested that. We don't want to see the volume imbalance hold. If it does, now that we've traded into this inefficiency, this is where we'll see the quick kind of support to run the equal highs. So we need to close below the volume imbalance and we need to close below this inefficiency, and really we need to get below midpoint. So we need to close inside this fair value gap. See if we can't close below. We don't want to see a snapback at all. We close below volume imbalance, bullish volume imbalance, however. So that's not necessarily a good sign because it's going to try to negate the previous candle's actions. We held midpoint of this fair value gap and it's the old high. So now we're watching this volume imbalance here. If we reclaim that, especially holding this fair value gap, then we would look for the run of the equal highs here. If we can hold this, right, so like if the body can respect this, close below this fair value gap, make an attempt to reach into this one, then we may start be able to break down. But in the meantime, still bullish here. Especially if this becomes a swing low. Ideally, this volume bounce holds and we try to run out this low, but notice how this fair value gap is holding price now. Perfectly, really. Okay, do we get that low? Equal lows. Nice. As we retest this, we want to get really below that. We close below this fair value gap. Need to keep selling off here. This is going to be really the flip point. midpoint of the first presented and the bullish fair value gap and the inversion here. So this is kind of where we'll hold and accelerate if we're going to, which it looks like we're about to right here. We need to continue to hold pretty much the high of this first presented now. We'd want to see the high of that hold, this volume imbalance hold, displace below this fair value gap. And really we need to get below the first presented here. Look for that run lower then. Let's see, how do we hold here? So we did close below, that's nice. Bullish volume imbalance, however. I'd almost expect this to tap this candlestick's high. Close anyways. Run bullish. If we can negate this and keep this as a no wick to the upside and get right underneath this fair value gap, that'd be best case scenario. So let's move this inversion. We're retesting midpoint here. What we would not want to see this hold. There's the low. We want to get below that and close below it. So notice, right, we're going to have a large 1 hour fair value gap here. I'd like to see if we can actually get into that. So we'll partial one at this low. We need to close below this first presented. Did we? We did, but we opened with a bullish volume imbalance again. So we continue to do that. If we can hold that though and keep running bearish, that'll be good. As you said, we'll look to partial at this low. We'd want to hold this inversion at this point. Perfect delivery, so this is kind of where we will reverse if we're going to attack highs. We just picked up a low. Perfect delivery into previous day's high, inside a bullish fair value gap, and half standard deviation level. So if NQ holds that, starts running bullish, we would actually expect that in ES. So if ES can't actually close back below this again, we would expect a retracement. It's going to close right on that level. Perfectly. That's hilarious. So we get perfect closure. We left the bearish fair value gap. That needs to hold now. We invert that. We'll look for the run up here. Kind of same in NQ. We'd want this to hold. This bearish volume imbalance or bearish fair value gap. Oh shit, it's 8:40. Okay, okay. We really are pushing it. We got 7 minutes. I gotta be there by 9:15. 5-minute drive. Yeah, we can wait till maybe 10:50, 11 at the latest. We'll see. We might just have to close manually. Yeah, as we said, that's gonna be the flip point there. So if we can hold this, that'd be nice. That's pretty bullish there. We'll see if we get a quick breakdown. I'm not bullish. I'm just saying that's this over here in NQ is looking more bullish than ES. As we said, we're picking up that low. We're holding previous day's high inside the fair value gap. Old high held. Closure above midpoint of the bearish fair value gap. Usually tends to lead to that bullish run to get to the high of it, which would cause ES to try to probably retest high of this. Ideally, we try to get back below this, though. Yeah, like we held it again, right? So that's twice. If we can hold this as a swing high, that'd be nice. Yeah, NQ's all over. Now that we've pretty much hit the inversion and the original bearish, I'd like this to be a swing high. If we can leave this as a swing high, this candlestick here, and close below the first presented again, we should see price try to fall. So we want to get below this low. We want to close below this low here. See NQ run bearish as well. We said we'll partial one at this low. So we got closure below once again though. Just like last time when we closed below, immediate bullish volume imbalance to open. This is where we'd want to see though, the low now offer resistance, be the most sensitive area. So we can immediately rebalance this candle, but we'd want to see this run bearish now. We wanted to see this low get closed below. We created equal lows there, so I'd want to see this bearish candle run bearish, close below the lows. Look to have the 5 minute in NQ, you're saying? Or ES? ES. Yeah. Like, yeah, I'd want this to be the swing high, but we immediately come right back into that fair value gap. So just sloppy. You might run out of time before the trade can play out. So we're holding the most recent 5 minute. We need to close below that. We're going to put our stop here just in case, running out of time. So if we get stopped, we could leave. We just picked up that low. If we don't close below that, that's going to be the worst case. We want to close below this because we have a fair value gap here. So we want to close below and then fall. If we're going to keep wicking lows like that, that'll lead to a quick bullish expansion. I'd like to see the 5 minute close below. So one more minute, which means pretty much I want this 1 minute candlestick to close below this first presented. If we can get that, I feel as if the next candlestick, the next 5 minute candlestick should run bearish to retest this 5 minute here. And then from there, hopefully we can get through it and attack the actual low. Redeliver into the 5 minute, we'll jam our stop again, right above this fair value gap. We said at this point, we pretty much want to see this hourly bullish candlestick run bearish and revisit its low. Wicked the order. That's gross. Yep, we're going to close right inside that again. Every single time we've tried closing below, we immediately reject that. So look at that. The 5 minute closes right on that. Holding this 5 minute. So yeah, honestly, this is more bullish in my mind. Or creates at least quick bullish moves. So far, it's still respecting the premiums, which is good. but it needs to start breaking down. So there's the 5 minute. From here is kind of when I would expect to see a quick reversal. So we're going to go like this. You said we'll buy one here, 5 handles, a little over 5 handles. We could probably just go 5. What is that? 40.01. We could actually do the volume and bounce. That'll be 5 handles exactly. Perfect delivery once again into this. Previously high paired with half standard deviation. Midpoint of the 5 minute there. We want to get below that. Ooh, perfect. Okay. So we do not want that to be a swing low, ideally. We want to attack that low. Keep running bearish. See if we can't get the partial. Been in this trade way too long for our liking. Yeah, we do not want this to be a swing low, especially if this candlestick closes back above the 5 minute. What time is it? We're getting close. Okay. We're going to readjust this because I'm going to have to leave very soon. So as soon as this gets done, we're going to go like this. At this point, either take us out at this low, parceling at 5, or we get out fully. Closure below 5 minutes, so at this point I'd want the 1 minute to respect that. Because this 1 minute candlestick respects consequent encroachment. We then retest the high and close below midpoint. So now I'd want to see any retest of midpoint to be met with resistance to attack the low of this 5 minute. Ideally get us into this 5 or this volume imbalance, which will get us out at 5 handles. And then we'll just close fully at the low of this swing point here if we can get that. So we said at this point, retesting 5 minute midpoint. Got to wait for the closure. Looks pretty aggressive right away, but that could all be a wick, and we could close below this midpoint and fall. Unable to close below midpoint, which means now it's going to try to be used as support in the short term like we just saw. So if we hold that and run bullish, pretty much this is like the last line of defense. Ideally, the high of the 5 minute would try to hold it. If we close above that, we'll look to get stopped here. NQ a little bit nicer, right? So we're closing below previous day's high and holding that, respecting that half standard deviation bearish as well. We close back below midpoint, we'll go break even. Cool. Break even. Because from here now, if we're going to get below it, get above it, get back below it, we want to see that 5 minute offer immediate resistance to run into the low. Nice. There's the low. We want to get just outside that low a little bit. Perfect. Most recent swing high, new stop. Look for the full displacement to attack that low and get us out. NQ falling, so this should be met here. Lovely. That's a crazy wick. Oh well. Secured half. If we get stopped in profit, that's fine. I'd like to see midpoint offer one more quick resistance. And we'll just get out at this low if we can get it. So at this point, it's either high versus low. Which one wants to get touched first? We like the low here. Need to get closure below the 5 minute. Closure on the 5 minute. Love that. Should try to use the low of that and just push us into this swing low here. Relative equal lows. If we trade below that wick and close below it, yep, we would look for continued bearishness. Especially because the new hour would open as well. And Q grabs it, ES catch up. There it is. Oh. There it is now. Beautiful. Jeez, so those trades, I mean, that's a winner, but I hate those trades if I'm being honest with you. I just don't have the patience to sit in those all the time. We commit to it because we still trusted it, so it works out. We said we run this high. This high should have been the protected high. It was. Right, this high clears this high and this high, so that's a long-term swing point. Intermediate term swing point. We pick up the intermediate term swing point perfectly. We then break below, hold the bearish fair value gap and the inversion, and then we finally get the release. So at this point, as we said, right, if we trade, we have a large 15-minute fair value gap here, however. But if we can close below these levels, I'd like to see this low. So come back down all the way into the untapped inefficiency here. Using this 5 minute. So if the 5 minute closes below this inversion or closes below this fair value gap, creating an inversion, it'll also leave a 5 minute bearish fair value gap. Paired with that, I would expect that to hold bearish and send us into, as we mentioned, this open inefficiency that has not been traded into at all today. Old buy side as well, so I like that a lot. But all right, everybody, we're gonna leave you there. We're about to head out. Get a nice round in. Shorts panned out. So the idea was we're just going to use first presented to target a swing low. A lot more drawdown, deeper retracement than we expected, but right, we had our area in validation and it was never met. So you just commit to it. We get real close. Instead, we hold at this liquidity, displace back below first presented, then use the bearish fair value gap as resistance. And now we get that release to clear out the sell side. So we actually got that swing low as well, which is nice to see. Nice little swing low exit, just as we would like. Yeah, that'll be it for the week. So good week, everybody. 5 streams. Stayed busy. I like it. Heading into next week, we have High Impact News Tuesday. So it's CPI week next week. High Impact News Tuesday and Thursday and Friday. So it should be a nice week. Should get some movement. We'll be back Monday morning and kick it off again. Keep it rolling as usual. So until then, everybody. Yeah, we'll have let's see, what's Sunday? We could do it Sunday. I usually have just been posting them. We can maybe do it live though, if you want. How so? Yeah, we could do that. We'll just look at 1 minute structure. So we'll plan for Sunday. Yeah, we'll do that. We'll come back on Sunday and we'll just look at setups that we could have taken. So it'll be more like a back testing session, honestly. Kind of how I would treat that. We'll look at the best setups that formed, how we could have been involved, and what we could have targeted. So yeah, have a great weekend, everybody. We'll plan to meet up Sunday morning. Until then, be safe, and we will talk here in a few days. Take care, everybody.